Stewart, and welcome to my podcast, Trade Secrets. Today I'm talking to a friend of long standing. We don't say old friend anymore, but Marc DeSisto, very talented engineer, producer, mixer, all the above. Marc, it's pretty unscripted. I just asked one main question. It's sort of to show people that there's no one way to get your perfect job.
Yes.
So I ask, my first question is, where were you born?
Okay. Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And it's great to be your friend this long. This is always
We've never had a fight.
Never.
I know.
Yeah. I get pouty, I guess, probably, and then walk around when something's not wrong. Right.
You're
but
talented.
Never.
I always wanted to support it.
No, I appreciate all the stuff that you've, recommended me for and stuff. So that's
easy to
important.
recommend someone who's good. You know what I'm saying?
So nice.
It makes me look good. So yeah, it's really just self-serving to make myself look good. But yeah, where were you born?
I was born just outside of Boston, a town called Malden, Mass.
Okay.
And my grandparents were from Revere, Mass, very just outside of Boston, and we moved to Danvers, Mass.
Are you Italian?
I'm Italian,
heritage? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a lot of Italians
Yeah,
in Boston.
it's
Ciccarelli, Jason LaRocca.
That's right.
Yeah.
It has, in that area especially is full of Italians.
Oh.
Revere, Mass was pretty much a lot of Italians.
Nice. Well, yeah. So I kind of started at the beginning, like I said, with where were you born. Now, you and I are of an age, I won't tell everyone how old we are, but we were of an age, so I think we were very lucky. I think they had, music and art programs in public school when you and I were little. So, but I'll get back to that. But what did your dad do?
My dad was a banker.
Nice.
He was into banking.
Did we learn anything from Dad? Not really.
He was around when the credit card first came out.
Oh, wow.
So he was introducing the credit card to Maine. They had no idea, so I remember that as a kid.
Oh, wow.
So
did your mom work? Or
not really.
Good mom?
She was home.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And,
Siblings?
Oh, yeah, I have a sister.
Okay. Younger?
A little older.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Just two of you?
Just two of us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're growing up in a suburb of Boston, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm hardworking folks, middle class.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all were kind of that. And elementary school.
Catholic school.
Catholic school. See, this sells a lot.
Catholic school. Catholic
Let me see your knuckles. They still look okay. They weren't wrapped too many times by the ruler.
I had a few bouts.
Yeah.
I was
Dude,
a little bit of a rebel.
Tough.
Yeah. I was drawing on the chairs. They didn't like that too much.
Oh, yeah, I did shit like that, too.
They didn't like that.
Yeah.
I had to take it home and sand it,
Oh, man.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
that's, I guess.
Seventh and eighth grade. Yeah, I was getting out of hand.
Yeah. Well,
It was Led Zeppelin.
Totally,
Zeppelin.
dude. And I have three older brothers, so all the music that I love, a lot of it is from, British Invasion and stuff like that. And, I'll say how old I am. I'm 66 or whatever. But, yeah, the musical influence did create a rebellious streak, I would say. Drugs, rock and roll, babe. Yeah.
I think the thing about music, what I remember as a young kid, is you turned it on and this sound made you happy.
Yeah. Oh, my God, that's so basic. Yes.
It was like, oh, my God. So you kept wanting to have that happen over and over.
The endorphins, yeah.
It was like, and then, you're young enough to, figure out how to put the needle on the record. My mother had Motown records on, and it was just one of those things that was like, oh, my God, this makes me happy.
Did your parents have the thing? My parents had the thing where the speakers opened out, there was a TV, and the turntable flopped down like a console.
This was just a console of
okay.
music, and, and I love the smell because it was like a tube thing.
Yeah.
So you put your head in there, and it's like smell of vinyl and tubes burning.
Electronics.
And you'd hear, I remember, Chubby Checker records.
Yes.
And that was in one of
Doing
those
the twist.
Good feeling
yes.
record, and the Supremes and all the Motown
Dude,
stuff.
all
was
the Motown stuff.
It was just pretty great. And then the Beatles, of course.
And one of the things I rewatched this, and if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's called the Tammy Awards.
Okay.
And it's 1964. It's in Santa Monica, and Jan and Dean are the hosts. But it was the Stones, Smokey Robinson, the Supremes, James Brown, Jerry and the Pacemakers, the Beach Boys. But it was, when we were younger, Top 40 radio was everyone. Black, white,
Oh, right.
pop, rock.
Right.
And then when FM came along and we had full albums playing, it was a little bit different. But Top 40 Radio was R&B, was rock, was pop.
Right.
Everything all together.
I get to remember my fondest memories of car rides between my grandmother's
Yes.
house and my home in Danvers. It was like a 20-minute ride. Was sitting in the middle, no seatbelt, and there was the radio.
Yeah.
And the radio was just
The radio
thrilling.
was, yeah.
And, there I am just singing along the whole time,
You remember the call letters of your home station? I do. I remember mine.
No, I never.
Mine was WTMA in Charleston, South Carolina, WTMA. And that was like in the 60s. And I don't know if it's still around, actually. But yeah, I think that the common thread through this, obviously I talked to a lot of engineers and
Yeah.
people who are technical and do these kinds of technical jobs, but everybody loves music to a person. And when people hear this, what I'm hoping is that maybe some young person or people will hear it and they'll realize there's no one way to get to your dream job. You know what I mean? You
There
just
isn't.
gotta,
There isn't.
yeah, you just gotta go for it. You know,
But you
gotta-
have to have the passion in that thing that turns you on about it
dude, music.
continuously.
Yeah.
Like to this day, I'm as hungry as I was when I was 18.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with it.
And it's
you
thrilling
know?
and it's satisfying. It's rewarding. You know, you get to help people. I was joking earlier and I said to someone, you know, the artist, I mean, they're vulnerable. They come in and they hand you their baby. And they're like,
Oh, yeah.
please don't hurt the baby.
Don't. Don't. You have to
Dress
gain-
up the baby.
Yeah.
Introduce the baby to the world.
Right. Get it walking.
Yeah, get the
you
baby
know?
walking.
Get it on whole food.
Yeah.
Off the bottle.
Yeah, yeah.
And let it grow.
But it's a
you
big
know?
responsibility. The people behind the curtain, you know, without engineers capturing it, people wouldn't hear it.
Right. The way I look
know?
at it, it's like you have the musician, you have the board and the mic pre, and then it's you, then it goes to tape.
Yeah.
So you're in between. You're the translator.
Yeah, yeah.
You're capturing.
ears in between.
You want what's going on in that room.
You're the distro box.
To go to that thing.
Yeah.
You know,
you're
whether it's
the
tape
distribution.
or now it's a
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
And that's the excitement because that's your moment of like when
To
you
put
have
your
control.
influence, to put your hands on it.
That's it. You
Yeah.
get that thing going, and then the producer comes in, and then
he
he'll
fucks
have
up
his-
your shit.
Exactly. And say, no, this or that. So you have extra mics for that. You know, it's like,
Oh, you have the
oh,
fader
you
going
need
nowhere.
That one? Okay, yeah. Let's put up that other
Yeah, we
mic.
like we love that going
Yeah.
nowhere. So in your elementary school, did you have music programs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 Did
we
you were you in band or chorus or anything like that?
No, none of that. We just had the class, and we'll buy little things you tapped
Right, recorders
on,
or whatever. Yeah,
recorders
yeah,
and stuff like that. But no, it was singing. A lot
Yeah.
of singing.
Singing.
Yeah.
Chorus, I think,
Yeah.
was the first thing.
And then we learned, like, it was interesting because one of the songs I'll always remember that we learned in school was the Beach Boy song, Sloop John B.
I love that.
And it was like, I
cool teacher.
yeah. I was like, I wasn't, it wasn't my favorite Beach Boy song
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the time.
It's a good one, though.
But I really, later in life, really appreciated
My
what about it,
grandfather
what that was
and
really
me.
good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
So, that was one of them.
Yeah, I keep mentioning the same thing, but I was thinking about like teachers and the influence teachers can have on you. And God bless teachers for giving and just encouraging kids to like, I have to get on a different rant because I said this in the last one, but how lucky were we that we had these programs in school and that people were like trying to turn us on to shit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, it's awesome. And then do you play an instrument?
A little guitar.
Also a running theme, the guitar.
And it was like one of those things where when I got to my
Get the
first
girls.
studio,
Get the girls.
my boss was like, do one really good.
Right. Yeah.
Either be an engineer or be a musician.
Guess who plays guitar?
It's hard to be both.
Guess who plays guitar probably pretty well, and he's a great engineer, Joe Ciccarelli.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No
I didn't know
kidding.
that either. I've
Wow.
learned a lot of things about people that I've known for a long time, like you, that, like Jim Scott's dad, worked for Lee Iacocca, or these different
Oh,
things
wow.
that I learned,
Yeah,
about
that's
different
great.
people that
Yeah.
I've known for a long time. So guitar, I think having any experience with musical instrument, how's that going to be bad? It's not going to be bad. That's going to be good. It's
Yeah,
going to
you
help you
keep
deal
it with your whole
musicians.
life.
Yeah, it's going to help you deal with musicians and a sensitivity.
Right. You have
to
to
the
know
artist.
chords and
Yeah. Yeah.
have to learn tuning. which is so important.
So important. Oh my God.
And it's a
Everybody's
really-
out of tune all the time.
Everyone's hard to tune.
All the time,
It's
don't
like, learning how to tune is an important thing,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is still hard,
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
not doing it all the time. It's like, you got to really spend a second at it. Some guys are like, and I'm there like,
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Let's get it right now.
But-
Did you go to high school in that same town? Oh,
Yeah.
Catholic high school too.
yeah, St. John's Prep.
Now, was it boys only?
No, it was a little bit of co-ed. It was a
Interesting.
little
That's probably
co-ed.
forward thinking.
And yeah, there were a few girls there. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Lucky
Yeah.
gals. A bunch of Italian
they were
Catholic
overwhelmed,
boys.
I think.
A bunch of Catholic
They were
Italian
overwhelmed.
boys.
Yeah.
Well, you're cute now. I bet you were handsome in school.
thank you so much.
A bunch of Italian boys, poor girls. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was funny because learning. That's another thing of life that you have to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Interact
with the opposite sex.
And there's a few things in life that you have to figure out yourself.
Oh, there is that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
That's
you got to figure
right.
that shit out yourself.
That's
because,
right. It's not just rock and roll. It's not just drugs. It's
no one's
also
like
sex.
saying, "Hey, this is for Mark." You got to kind of
It's
run
funny.
your own board.
It's funny. If I don't know if you're like me, but you look back and I remember a lot of stuff from like grammar school and high school, and then there's sort of a blur from like 30 to 50. I remember it, and I've been married a long time, and very happily so, and you as well.
Me too.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, you as well. Oh, my husband said to tell you hi.
Hi.
He said that when he worked with Music Connection, that you ran an ad with him, and that helped him out, and he wanted to say thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's time to do that again. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Well, yeah, if you need it. But
Yeah.
he works now with a fund. He distributes royalties to non-feature performers.
Oh.
So for about 7 years, he's been the head of PR for the AFM SAG-AFTRA fund.
Wow.
That gives money to background singers.
Oh, okay.
Or like an oboist or a guitar
Oh, okay.
player.
People who didn't get.
Yeah, non-feature performer who's listed.
Uh-huh.
But it's in perpetuity. It's royalties.
Right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
For film or TV. work.
That's the little mailbox money. That's good.
It is mailbox money, yeah.
You like that?
We do. All money is good. What Keith says so famously, there will never be a time in my life where I have too much money and too much sex.
Yeah. This is true.
My mom said
Let me try that out.
Yeah, work that out. So you're going to school, and do you remember, you like the hi-fi, you were into the stereo, so we know you like tubes, we
Yeah.
know you liked electronics. Did electronics come naturally to you?
Later on, when jumping ahead, when I went to an audio school.
Oh, did you go to school?
I did. I went to this school in Boston, Graham Junior College, and they offered. Berkeley was in Boston, but you had to be really good to be an instrument, play guitar.
Yeah, Berkeley
or
was
something.
more like Juilliard then.
Yeah, and I wasn't that level. But this school offered an associate's degree in an audio engineer, so I'm like,
Dude,
okay, let me go there.
early on, cool.
So I go there, and after the first semester, the school goes bankrupt.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm like, wow, and what do I do? And so I started taking some classes in electronics. I go, well, I like
Good idea.
this. Let me figure out some electronic stuff. And
That's important.
There happened to be a studio.
In the scheme of things, very important.
Right, let me go to school, because I ended up at like a machine shop working.
Yeah.
And it was like, I hated it, but
Yeah.
I was like, it did need money, and I got the job pretty easy.
Yeah, all of us, we come from, and, our generation in particular, I don't remember my parents, like, if you wanted to buy something, you had to get a job.
Yeah. Even when I was younger.
Yeah, I was like 14.
I used to work. Well, my uncle used to
My babysat and stuff like that.
take me to this ballroom that he used to work at, and so I would sweep the floor,
Yeah.
clean the ashtrays, and do this. But at the same time, when I was doing that, I would listen to the radio. So the radio was on. So I was just listening to the radio and listening to like 10cc and all
dude,
these
I love
songs and
10cc.
all these 70s songs, like 72,
Yeah.
I was 12 or something.
Yeah.
But then because I always was having to buy records.
Yeah.
You
Remember
know?
waiting the record store? Okay, first of all, there
Oh.
are still record stores, thank God, but the record store.
Yeah.
And waiting
A
for
special
the
place.
45 to come.
A special place.
Yeah, but a hallowed hall for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember we had this shop in my hometown. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. You know that. It was called the Octopus Garden, and the guy that ran this, Billy, he was an albino. And this guy was a a freaky guy. I mean, there was probably some not savory shit going on in the storeroom. I happened to be gay. I mean, I don't know what was going on with Billy, but he had a great shop, and I would go in and talk. He was cool to me, and I would go in and talk to him, and I'd be like, when is this coming out? And remember the 45?
Oh,
remember
yeah.
the Apple insignia, right? Like you got Let It Be. I don't never remember what's on the flip side. But then you started waiting for the bands you loved. You started waiting for the record to come. You were waiting.
Right.
And we had the greatest concerts ever.
Just being in the store and hearing like the promotion, like Foreigner.
Yes.
And Journey, like the first Journey record. I remember hearing that. I was like, oh, I have to have that. And then the first Foreigner record.
Yeah.
And I had all these great songs on it, Cold as Ice, etc.
Dude, what
and
a
I
great
was like,
singer.
And it was like, those are the things that you don't forget the impact that they had on you.
Yeah.
You'll never forget that. I mean, you can listen to the whole record and remember everything about the whole record.
Do the liner notes.
Yeah. Anytime there was a picture of a studio.
Yep.
On a cover with the big microphones, the Neumanns. It was just like, oh my God.
That's so cool.
What's that place? What's that? Where is that?
I want to go there.
What's that they're making?
Well, we're in one now, but yeah.
Here we are, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a little, the fascinating part of the mystery of it that leads you on your journey to get to where you want to go. You don't know where you want to go, but
I don't even know where I want to go now.
But that's a point of destination.
Yeah.
Where the microphones are.
Yeah, let's go where that is.
I want to go there.
Yes. So you're working in the machine shop, getting along. You still living at home at that point?
Do
you have your own apartment
yet?
No,
I'm now living in Revere with my grandparents' house.
Okay, good.
My third floor of my own.
Nice.
And I would commute to Boston. It was like, just,
not a lot of oversight. Teenager.
No oversight.
You love that.
No
By
oversight.
the way, are you glad? I am so glad that I didn't grow up now with all the monitoring and.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'd be in jail.
Yeah. It was so funny because.
So free. We were free, man. We didn't even know how free we were.
I eventually get this job in this studio in the town, Revere, where they live.
Yeah.
And it was like a 9-to-5 type job.
Wow.
So
where is that?
Yeah, it's still there, but it's closed. And so when they wanted to, dinner was ready, my grandfather would tap on the pipe. And I come down.
Aww.
So I remember when I was leaving and heading out here, the pipe had like all the chip painted off it, like this big piece of chip. But it was like they were the greatest people to be around.
Sweetest.
The greatest.
Oh,
And
but your parents in general supportive? Everybody was pretty supportive?
My mom mostly. My dad didn't get it. My dad didn't get it.
Banker. Probably wanted you to get a degree in finance.
What's this music shit,
Yeah.
I could see his point of view.
Okay, we see it now.
Is there any money in that
now.
thing? He's like, banker. So at one point, it was so funny because at one point when I was working, I got this job at the studio in 79. And about 82, the music, everything fell out.
I remember.
Everything fell out. So I had no more. The studio lays me off.
I came here and then went back to school in South Carolina because I came here and was going to work for my brother then in 79. And I was like, okay, this is falling apart. So I went back and came back later. But yeah.
So he gets me this job in the bank.
Oh.
And reconcilement.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
I have
I would have fucked that up
no
completely.
business. I did fuck it up bad. And I was a short spill, I was there for 3 months.
I got fired from one job. It was an insurance job, and it was a company that's still open, that had been open since, Charleston. That's like Boston. It's been there since 1790 or some shit. Right, and I had to handwrite these 25-digit policy numbers that they would then, there was a thing called an electriever that you'd punch the number into, and it'd go, it'd bring the file up. I fucked it up. And if you fucked the number up on it, the file's lost forever.
Well, I happened to, it was in reconcilement, and I happened to deposit money in the wrong bank.
Yeah. Wrong branch or wrong bank?
Wrong bank.
Hello.
Like a lot of money.
Oh, shit.
So one day I'm in my little cubicle, and I feel the energy of this something coming my way. I can see this manager weaving my way, and he shows up in front of my desk. I was like, Mrs. Sister, do you realize what you did? I'm like, no, tell me. And I didn't know. I guess I was just,
And was it a computer? Was it a keyboard?
Yeah, it was like, no, it was by hand
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
Hand done.
That's fine.
So anyway, it was shortly after that I was like,
The end of the banking.
Then MTV popped up.
Dude, I remember where
And
Radio
then all
Killed
of
the
a
Video
sudden, the
Star.
studio hired me again.
Yeah? Oh, nice.
So I went back to my other life. And,
What kind of bands or what kind of music did you work with at that studio?
it was a,
Like jingles?
we did jingles.
Yes.
And
I think jingles are really good at teaching you your craft and timing.
well, the story was when I went to the studio, because it was right down the street from my house, very close. I drove by it all the time. Revere. It's called Fleetwood Studios.
Oh, wow.
And when I worked there, you were on this. It was temporary, to see if they liked you and hire you.
Yeah.
So of course I painted the side of the building.
Whatever.
Big, still painted there.
Whatever it takes.
My paint job's still there.
Okay.
And then one of the engineers, my friend Jeff, has passed away. Miss him. He said, "Look, no one's going to really show you what to do. If you want to be useful, go upstairs, get a reel, make a copy, teach yourself how to edit, and then you'll get on sessions."
Nice.
So that's what I did.
Nice.
So I did that. I taught myself how to edit, and they were like, "Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, your edits are good, and this and that." So the owner comes to me and says, "I have one more thing for you to do, and then I'll start paying you." I'm like, "Oh, God, what is this?" He says, "You have to drive to get a bus to Newark, pick up my new car, and be back here by 3 o'clock the next day."
Nice.
Okay, sure. So Gramps, you got to drive me to the bus station. "Oh, when are we going?" "Well, the bus leaves at 2, and it's like in the combat zone." He's like, "Is this job?" My grandfather could not understand.
Yeah, why you're doing all this
what
for
I
this
would
guy.
do this for,
Yeah.
how important it was to me. So, of course, I take the bus, go to Newark, take a cab. So I get the car, and the guy says, "Hey, man, here's the keys, but you need a screwdriver at the same time, because the car won't start without a screwdriver. I don't know how to start the car without a screwdriver. And here's what you do."
Is this a stolen car?
No, it was a new car from Germany.
Oh, okay.
And so he had to hit the solenoid with the ground, and the car
Are
on
there
would start.
drugs in the trunk of this car?
No. So I make it back.
Oh, God. Unscathed and the car's okay.
Yeah, 15 minutes early.
Oh, man.
Throw the guy the keys. "Hey, I'm back. Start paying me." I
Nice.
said, "Oh, wait a minute. I want one more thing. Here's a screwdriver." He says, "What? You didn't have the seatbelt in?" Had to have the seatbelt in to start the car.
And the other guy never figured it out.
Never
and that's
figured
why
it out.
he's a
It was the
screwdriver.
first year of the Rabbit.
Oh, the
It was coming from
Volkswagen
Germany.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Interesting that it wouldn't start without your seatbelt.
Yeah. And I'm like, no one ever wore seatbelts.
Oh, I
They all
know.
had cars. No one ever
Well,
wore
you and I were
seatbelts.
you just talked
Why would I
about it.
know
You're
how
sitting in
that?
the middle of the car, bench seat, listening to the radio.
No seatbelt at all. My mom's smoking.
Yeah.
And, just
Drinking.
go flying down the road. You know what I mean? It was wild.
Dude, the car, LA's obviously a car culture, but my parents drove us across country, and the thing that I remember most, besides the scenery, is each car. Like it was the
Yeah.
Chrysler station wagon, then it was the Pontiac Bonneville convertible. We come on up.
Yeah.
That was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then it was the Buick Electra Deuce and a Quarter, where everything was electric in the Buick Electra 225.
Oh.
Like the seats reclined, and it was like, ooh, my dad loved cars.
That was cool.
And he was an electrical engineer, but we always drive, I was actually born in California, but my mom had a sister and a brother who lived here. So they would drive us.
Oh.
That was like, throw the kids in the car, go to California.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go back to South Carolina, whatever.
My vision of LA was like, my neighbor had a picture
Girls in
of
bikinis.
of a chick.
Yeah.
They're like, "Here's our niece. She lives in California." And like she's like on a beach. I'm like, "Oh, that place looks rocking."
That's awesome. And, I don't think there's any place on earth colder than Boston.
Yeah.
I'm fucking sorry.
No,
I mean, it's a beautiful
yeah.
town, but it's colder than Chicago. I think it's colder than Alaska.
Just
Boston's
wait
fucking
an
cold.
hour and the weather will change.
Still cold.
It's just that place.
It's cold and hot.
Yeah. So
Keys from Colorado. That's like that'd be 100 and then be snow.
not for me.
Yeah, no. Fuck the
Not
cold.
for me.
How about fuck the cold? My new bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Fuck the
yeah,
cold.
Yeah. If it's 50 here, we're cold.
I know I'm freezing.
I'm freezing.
Ow. It's cold in here. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, in here we need
It's
the
nice.
cold.
Yeah, we do. So he's, he figures out that you got to have the seatbelt in. Does he start to pay, or what's the first thing he asks you to do?
Yeah. No, I got started. I was on a session doing a was on a session doing a voiceover.
Oh, okay.
So part of the studio, they did children's records.
Okay.
So they would have four guys, people doing the children's record, Peter Pan or whatever, and then you'd have the script, and you'd let the 2-track run, and you have 4 mics, and you would blend it, and then you'd knock off, where the mistakes were,
Yeah.
so you could go back and edit.
The early use of the de-esser.
And that's how I learned how to edit really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And then you record at 7.5 IPS. Boom! Next thing you know,
So you're
we're
going
recording.
direct to 2-track?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, right to the 2-track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and learning the 1176.
Yeah.
That was when I was
That was
learning
built in this building,
that
by
was
the
like,
way.
Okay, this thing is wild.
That was built in this building.
Because at first, it's like the thing starts pumping, and it's like, oh my God, it's picking up all the noise, and
Right.
it really took a while to dial that in,
When then you figure out how live the mic is.
How with the preamp,
shit.
how
or the
close.
person, and I think in that kind of work, a person moves your hand over a belt buckle,
Oh yeah,
or
no,
paper,
it's a lot of that.
rustling of fabric is a thing to avoid.
Those were kind of some of those things I started doing, and we would also go on remotes to record on cassette, transferring it, edit.
Would
then,
have been like a Tascam or Fostex was like the early
little
8-channel.
Yeah, a little 2-track TAC
Oh, look, TAC,
recorder.
Interesting.
And then we transfer that back. But there was a lot of work, and that night I would go back because my friend Jeff, who was a Beatles freak, so he would record at night. So that's how I started learning how to record guitar
By the way,
and drums.
This is where I bring up you going in at night and recording bands in a studio that I managed that I didn't know you were in. with your compatriot, Gary.
Yeah.
Like I'm the manager in the studio. I go home, and then at night the kids would play.
You just needed to,
you needed to learn.
It's just one of those things where it's
I
like,
don't think I never would have actually begrudged it, but I just, I work for the owner.
Yeah.
So giving away free time was a fireable offense.
Yeah. It's true. You had to, kind of sometimes just
bend the rule.
Take advantage of a free moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because you at that point you want to continue learning. A little bit,
as much experience as you can.
And
get.
you want to. Oh, there's so much more. It's a lot to learn, and
It
really
is a lot to learn.
and really have develop your styles and tastes. And because now going from Boston to LA, it was like, it was
different
like
kind of music.
it was a whole new thing. Like I didn't even understand. I heard the word Simpty, but I never used Simpty.
Right.
In Boston,
Time
it was like all of a
code.
sudden it's like 48 tracks. You got to lock the machines up. You have all this fun stuff to learn.
What is it?
I mean,
It's 30 non-drop, or God, I can't even remember the different time codes.
oh, it was, 30,
Yeah.
There's all that.
Yeah.
The time frame.
Nagra,
29.
remember Nagra, and like
Not too much.
You didn't
I
have
didn't
to do that?
I
You
didn't
had to
really
do
have
that?
to do too much of
yeah,
that.
that was the whole syncing for early syncing for film and visual syncing with audio.
But Simpty was basically
Ratcheting, literally like film. Also audio with the little holes on the side. The Nagra
In
machine.
fact, you speaking of that, it was one point when I was moonlighting with this one other engineer, and we would go to Evergreen
Yeah.
and record live with the orchestra to Mag 3-track.
Yeah.
And there was almost a point where
Yeah,
he
mag
wanted me.
recorder.
He wanted me to follow him and go into more films.
Posting, yeah.
But my heart was in making records.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of would do that, but I really wanted to
Well, I bet you
make
learned.
records. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you had to be quick.
Yeah.
Get sounds quick, put up all the mics real quick, suss it out before he got there. And then, so it was a great job of you were totally focused. You knew exactly what to do. And to this day, I kind of carry on that same thing of planning
workflow.
ahead,
Yeah.
getting the mics that know that work.
Yeah.
Don't dilly-dally and, you're not
Dude,
experimenting on the session.
Man, you just words to my heart, which my staff here, who I love so much, we're at East West Studios, where I have the good fortune of being the manager. It's an amazing place, and my staff, I see a nonchalance during setups or even teardowns, or just a lack of efficiency. And I always look for food service experience
Uh-huh.
because I think it's really good. I did bartending and stuff like that because you never go into a dining room and pick up one fork and walk out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Come the fuck on.
Oh, yeah.
Get the mics
Oh, yeah.
on a cart. Get it done. Set up a string date. Set up a 50-piece string date in an hour and a half. Shut your hole.
Yeah.
Fucking set it up.
Yeah. Here
Now,
it is.
we do have the addition now of the control room of Pro Tools and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but we had to line a tape machine.
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't super quick. That took a minute.
No. And
Yeah,
that
print
was
tones.
the thing about it. The 24-track machine, what you really developed, learning how flexible it is, of the bias,
Yeah.
how to hot rod the machine.
Yeah, how
It's
to
like,
how to pin
oh,
how to pin it.
This guy wants it up
To be in the red zone.
Yeah, and it was really exciting because you could really hear the difference.
Yeah.
Even if we were mixing and someone say, "Oh yeah, bring 10K up on the machine."
Yeah.
Okay, all of a sudden the board, you bring up the faders and everything is like more open. It's like, oh man, I'm remembering that. Get
Yeah.
a dull tape, bring up to 10K.
Yeah, that's another thing I think. And if anyone's watching this and they want to be an engineer or whatever, I always tell people like every person you work with, you steal a little, not steal, but assimilate something that they did that you like, and it becomes your style.
100%.
Yeah,
100.
like Mark's.
1,000%.
Yeah, Mark's style is from all the different people Mark
Everybody.
worked with. Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, you're there to shut up, listen until someone asks you a question.
Of course.
And when they do, have
Have the right answer.
Have something good to say.
Yes.
And just when you work with someone, their flow. I used to think of, if you're an assistant engineer, you start having to think like an engineer.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to start thinking like an engineer.
You're anticipating his next move.
100%. Like, what is this guy like? Oh, he likes 1176 on a parallel.
Yeah.
So he says, "Hey, patch it in." I go, and it's already there.
That is you could work for me anytime.
You want
You want to come work for me? Because that would be great.
Anytime. Anytime.
I'll get you some gigs.
Yeah, hey, come on. So you always have to be ahead of the curve. Even when now you're an engineer, now you're ahead of the curve in a different way.
With the producer.
With the artist.
Yeah, with the artist.
Because you know what he's going to ask for.
Because you got the baby.
Yeah. So exactly, and if this isn't working, well, the other mic's ready in the corner, ready to go. It's not like, oh, can you go down the hall and pull it?
Okay.
There's none of that.
We love producers who came up as engineers, but also, too, that could be a double-edged sword because if you're a talented engineer and you're doing your thing, you don't necessarily want them, like we said earlier, changing your thing. So then maybe you give them the dummy fader or whatever.
Well, I later when I was ready to go independent, I was out. Sometimes I got in trouble because, the producer would say, "Hey, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, the kick drum's a little light or something." He
Yeah.
goes, "Can you fix it?" I go, "Yeah, sure." And I made a mistake a couple of times of actually turning the knob when the guy was out of the room. So when he came back in, he goes, "Gee, the bass drum sounds different." He says, "Well, yeah, he said it was like black in the bottom." Oh,
yeah.
That was a cardinal sin.
Yeah, the sound you got sucked, so I fixed it.
So I help you out a little bit.
Yeah. You were fucking things up, so I made
I've been
it.
listening for hours. Where's the bottom?
So funny.
Killing me.
So after now, when you came to L.A., where was the first place you worked in L.A.? Do you remember?
Yeah, here's a quick little story. When I came to LA, I was working on an album in Boston.
Okay.
And he was from a big band.
Oh, okay.
And he
Who was he?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
He was writing songs for this band's album.
Okay.
And he decided that there was a problem with the publishing or something.
So it was going to be his album.
So now it's his album.
Ah,
By the band.
I've
it's
seen this
his-
before.
Having it. So, it worked like
Got to hire a new band.
record all this record and fire this one and that one. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go out to LA. And it's like, oh, good. Is that way you're going to pay me?
Yeah.
So I come out here. And as soon as I come out here, he's like, and I bring the tapes and stuff. He fires me.
Dick.
He's like, I need to work with some other people with bigger names and credits. And I'm like, I get it. Dick.
Well, we all get it, but yeah.
So, here I think I'm getting fucking paydays coming. He's worried about the money. And I was like, yeah, that's coming too. So, I ended
Hard-learned lesson.
Hard-learned lesson, get the money quicker.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for a gig now. And I end up at on Melrose, Music Grinders.
Yeah.
So I go there for a
A lot
job
of history with
interview.
Music Grinder.
Okay, so I'm sitting there and I'm like hearing the song I worked on, and I'm like,
Oh, and they're at Grinder working on this
yeah,
shit?
I like it can't be on the radio already.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I'm like, I'll be right back. He goes, where you going? I go, I gotta, where is this music coming? I know that guy who's doing it.
He owes me money.
Yeah. And so I walk in the control room, and there he is singing out there with his other cat.
And sees you.
And saying, hey, Mark, what's up? You know, because we were still friends. It was like I had
You
to.
both understood it, but
We
still.
were. You spend too much time with these people to.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
to
not
hold a
about
grudge.
to hold a grudge.
Yeah.
One of my, I just got here. You know, life is long.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I agree with
so
that.
anyway, so it all worked out that and this.
Did you
this
get
and that.
hired at Music Grinder?
No, I didn't. I didn't. No.
Gary, you guys, that was your loss not hiring Marc DeSisto. Was it Gary Scardina
Yeah.
and Ron Felicia?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Amazed
So
myself.
then I had Joe Ciccarelli was my connection from Boston
Dude,
to
what
Los
a badass.
Angeles.
He has helped so many people, actually.
He worked at the studio I worked at in Boston called
Was it Blue Jay?
Fleetwood.
Oh, Fleetwood, at Fleetwood.
He
right.
worked there years before, and so I remember writing letters to Joe.
He also lived with his grandparents, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, you're Italian.
You're
You live with
Italian,
your
yeah.
grandparents. Yeah, food and
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
And just love.
Yeah.
They don't yell at you.
They think you're great.
Parents will yell at you. My grandparents
Yeah.
never yell at you.
Yeah.
Never. And so I corresponded with Joe, and a couple years later, I actually made it out here, and we meet. Great lunch. He takes me to this great place. I'm like, oh, this fucking place is a killer. you
Yeah,
know?
Joe is a
Yeah.
class act.
And he was like, Neve is on Sunset. Go hang out at Neve, learn some of that board. That's because that's in a lot of these rooms. And then he recommends I go to Soundcastle. And I have the interview.
Oh,
At
I wasn't
Soundcastle.
there yet, was I? No, I wasn't there
that
yet.
was with Daryl.
Oh, Daryl
And,
Cassine.
Yeah, Daryl, great cat.
What a great guy.
Sweet guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, I knew the board because I was already an engineer. I already had 6 years experience before I came out here.
And then it was Dave. Who was manager after that? Dave DeVore.
I was gone by then.
Okay, Dave DeVore.
I
Oh,
was
so
gone.
Daryl Cassino. So, yeah, working
Yeah.
for Buddy King.
Buddy
Now,
King.
we have both worked for Buddy King. And I will say this to Buddy and Pat. Hopefully, you'll hear this. I still get Christmas letter from them every year. He's still alive. God bless Buddy.
Yeah, sweet guy.
Wild man. But a music lover.
Oh my gosh.
A total music lover, and he was like super Christian, Orange County, and then bought this land in Silver Lake when Silver Lake was still kind of sketchy, and built Soundcastle. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's called Pulse.
Okay.
I went there to a party a couple years
Oh,
ago.
wow.
Scott Cutler and Josh Abram own it, and they said, "Candace, is it weird for you to be here?" And I said, "It's yes, but it's awesome."
Yeah.
So the Neve room in the back,
Yeah.
SSL room in the front. And you remember the second story lounge where the pool table
Right,
was and
right.
stuff like that? So when I went there,
That was down below.
Oh, really? That was
When
down
I
below?
was there, that was down
oh,
below.
okay.
And
That was the old JBL building. That building, you know that
was it?
glass
okay.
in the back? It was an architectural
It was a
building.
cool building.
Very cool building.
It was cool.
In the 70s. And then Buddy got it and started Soundcastle. So you started at a good place. Did they have a Neve then?
yeah, they had the Neve that was at this at Sunset, 6108.
Oh, interesting.
So I go in there, and the tech is, interviewing me and asking me questions.
Was
I
it
go,
Bill Bottrell?
No.
He
Bill
was a tech
Bill,
there.
Bill was gone.
Oh,
Bill
already?
was gone. But I did.
Great engineer,
I did
Bill
assist
Bottrell.
him later on,
What a badass.
and it was like so smart.
So smart. Crazy. Like
And
Massenberg smart.
Fast.
Yeah.
That's what you learned about
Tech,
cats.
engineer.
It's
Great
like
mixer. Oh, sorry.
you just some of the speed of the guys
Yeah.
when they bring up the faders, and before you know it, there's already a mix going. It's
Yeah.
like you're
And mixing
right
while
going.
tracking.
You're going.
Yeah, mixing while tracking.
You're
always.
happening.
The level, everything.
Yeah. Well, you're already kind of pre-mixing.
Yeah.
If you're recording, you're creating sounds.
Yeah.
You're creating that.
Balance.
The baby again.
Yes.
You know,
Diapering the
putting
baby.
clothes on the
Put the
baby.
clothes on the
you know?
baby.
Yeah. New shoes. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Curling the baby's hair. I don't know.
Something.
What are we doing?
Yeah. But Bill was great. And then I got the job because I
Good
knew the
teacher.
board. So I was one of the guys in the rotation. They already had other cats there who were really very friendly. Everyone was super friendly.
Yeah, I always
and
found people
I'm
to be
indebted
helpful.
to him and Pat forever because they gave me a shot. And and I worked as hard as I could. And then again, Joe said, "Hey, A&M is opening. They're doing all this crazy stuff at this other place." And then I
Shelley
went over there,
Yakis is coming
went to
over.
see Shelley. Another Boston guy.
God
Was
bless.
like, "Hey, Shelley," and he goes, "Do you know SSL?"
Another
I go,
great engineer.
the best.
Seriously.
My idol.
Like-
didn't even know he's my idol, but I knew all the records that were made, and then I put it together that this was the guy making it, and I just couldn't get over it.
Now, is Shelley still in L.A.?
I don't know where.
I should
I
find
text
Shelley.
him every now and then to say hi.
I'll reach out and I'll try to get Shelley on
We
on this
worked
podcast.
on a record that was in Mixed Magazine, a Suzanne Vega record.
Oh,
and so there was,
that,
a
was that the
classic
one,
album,
Tom?
Luca.
Oh, Luca.
Yeah.
Tom Steiner, Luca.
So there was a
whatever.
nice thing about that in there, and being over there when I went,
But that wasn't A&M. I think other studios obviously were hallowed halls like Western Recorders, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
You had Bill Putnam, all those guys. But A&M, you had a musician who owned the label. You had Herb. What a difference that must have made to the creative environment of that studio.
Well, you just knowing who
Artists
Herb
are
is,
first.
what he does for artists,
Yeah.
is in the different artists that they signed over the years.
You had Elmer
Incredible.
Irving, you had Rondor, you had all this publishing,
Yeah, I mean they're classic records that were made that they
Jerry
put.
Moss.
Brilliant people.
Brilliant. People who loved music.
Yeah, totally.
Totally
So,
loved music.
when I got there, they were renovating all the rooms
Yeah.
one at a time.
I like
so
your Studio D there, but I think they changed it.
that was one of the
Okay.
newer rooms.
All right.
So one at a time we were going down. So I was there from the beginning. So it was
And
really
everything
great.
was being built on what would have been the Chaplin film lot, right? It was
Yeah.
the Chaplin stages. So they were sound stages?
No, they were actual rooms that
Okay.
were there because it was a multi-room facility way back when.
Oh, okay.
But they were just taking all the old stuff out, putting all new
New acoustics.
acoustics, Vincent Van Hoff.
Oh, rest in peace.
and
what a great designer.
absolutely 100%. His whole crew.
He did that room at Soundcastle. He did that knee room at the back.
He did do that, right.
Yeah.
After I was gone, he did that.
Yeah, amazing.
But he has his blueprinters all over this town. And
Oh,
you know when you're walking in his room, it's like you can tell it's a Vincent room.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was great to be at the beginning because you were there at this early point.
And kind of learning about acoustics
Learning everything
by absorption,
by just listening.
association. Yeah.
Don't talk. Listen to these guys talk.
Yeah.
Because this is what you're not interrupting because you can't add to this conversation.
Yeah, because acoustic, psychoacoustics, and acoustic design, those guys, they all came from architectural and design backgrounds. They're architects,
Right.
essentially. But then to come up with the room within a room, floating floors,
Exactly.
live and dead end,
Right.
different materials for absorption and reflection. I mean, it's fun. And you look at room like Studio One here earlier, and Bill Putnam, and you're like, okay, pegboard with holes in it.
Yeah.
What a genius fucking thing.
Right.
The sound will go through,
Yeah.
but it's still hard.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy
It's not
shit.
coming back.
Right, it's not coming. Yeah, the crazy stuff.
I was always fascinated by engineers like Shelley could hear the acoustics in the room. I mean, not only listen to the speakers, but he's listening in the room.
Yeah.
And we happened to put these couple little baffles on top of in Studio B.
Like a little
we worked
cloud
there.
thing.
Just a couple, and all of a sudden it was like, I mean,
Better?
and just better.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
more sound coming from the speaker instead of the room. You're not really hearing the room. You want to hear the speaker. And so that was just that was an opportunity zone.
And in the live room,
The live
hear
room.
the room. The room is
And to
instrument.
tame a live room down is an art.
Studio One here is
know?
a tiger.
You
You
know?
got to tame it
You-
down. It needs.
you know?
We always say it's not a very flattering thing to say, but we always say Studio One needs meat sacks. It needs bodies. So the more people that are in it, the bigger the orchestra that's
But
in it.
when you walk in
the
that
better
room,
it sounds.
That's one of my favorite sounding rooms because it's just
It's
so
ambient.
it's clear.
True.
It's not a dark, woolly ambience.
Yeah.
It's clear. I mean, you can hear people talk.
Yeah,
And
that's
you can
true.
really hear, it's not like the sound is
Right.
changed.
It's like, and it's not like it gets lost.
Or you walk in a room that's really live and it's all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is really, just my voice is exciting.
Yeah,
the room.
this is too. Yeah, this
It's
is
almost,
too
it's
echoey.
so live.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And then there's rooms where, and I won't mention a name, but we did mention it earlier in the podcast. There's rooms where you walk in and a section of the room will suck out the volume. Like if it's an odd-shaped room and you
Uh-huh.
have a section in the back, you're like, wait, where did it go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't put anybody there.
That's not the spot.
That's not the sweet spot. Yeah, yeah.
You know, and look, sometimes you say, hey, where did Hal put his drums?
For sure.
Well, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
I mean,
it worked
you
for
know,
him.
You don't have to invent the wheel.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
You just want your project to be great. And,
Yeah.
and be where greatness has been is okay. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's a reason. And
I think engineers like you
don't be
that trust
you know,
an assistant. Like if you go into a studio that you've never been in and you're talking to the assistant and you know that he's been there, you know that he knows the
Right,
room.
right.
You're like, where do you normally put the drums?
right. Or which module's good.
Yeah, yeah. Where should I
Don't
avoid?
give me
What-
the bad one.
Yeah, what part of the console should I avoid?
Where
We strive for perfection. We seldom reach it.
yeah.
Electronics are electronics. Shit
Electronics,
breaks.
right, exactly. So that's what you rely on them for that stuff too.
True.
You know, they're inside. Well, that
The skeletons. Where do I avoid?
You know, it's like time is important, and you want to
Keeping the momentum.
going. That's why I always said, like before, you set up extra stuff.
Yeah.
So if
You'll be
something
prepared.
goes down, I have a spare.
Backup mic.
You get that.
Yep.
You have this other thing, and so the client isn't really waiting for you.
And they don't
You
even
know,
notice. They're on a
that's
need-to-know
what-
basis.
That's the whole point.
They don't need to
You
know.
just let it happen without them knowing.
Exactly.
You know, look good all the time.
Exactly.
Always.
Always the plan.
Just always look good. Oh, I got that. Oh, I
Well,
got,
and then you see someone like a Shelley, who I think, and like you said, Shelley, Bill Bottrell. I think you're a wonderful engineer.
Oh, thank
the
you.
stuff that you do with
I'm
Dwight,
learning. Still learning.
aren't we all? The stuff that you do with Dwight Yoakam.
Thanks.
It's such a creative artist and someone you cannot slow down on. Someone you got to be ready for Dwight.
That's where I have that stay ahead of the curve
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah.
Comes in really well.
Yeah.
Have the B thing ready. Have that ready.
Yeah.
Have another mic for the acoustic guitar.
He's creating on the fly.
He's producing everybody.
Yeah.
He has ideas for the drums, bass line, solo, lyrics.
It's in here for him.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
And
he is brilliant.
His encyclopedia of music is so vast.
Yeah.
That his reference, hey, listen to this harmony from this other record. Could
Yeah,
be
it's a
like,
Patsy Cline thing or whatever.
yeah, like before, yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, I get that, and then you want to achieve that because he's hearing it, so you
You
want to
don't
get
want to
that.
let him down.
You know, well, he won't. You won't let him down because he won't be there. You let him down too much.
Yeah, that's true.
But
But so A&M, there's the stories about the wall of shame, and I talk sometimes about this, about having to have a thick skin and how not to take it personally, and I do think I don't want to ever ridicule anyone or I don't ever want to bring my staff down, but at the same time, I don't want to be too soft on them either. I don't want to be a pussy because life ain't easy. And if you're going to get out there and if you're going to learn these rooms, for example, in this building, you're going to know how to work anywhere in the world. If you can work in these rooms, in this
Right.
studio.
if you could work there,
Yeah.
and the funny motto behind the scenes was take a picture because it's the last time you see him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Tough.
very true because
tough.
they had this New York energy come to Los Angeles.
Got Jimmy Iovine coming around.
Here comes Jimmy.
Yeah, yeah.
Here comes Jimmy. So working with Jimmy,
Who isn't an engineer? I love Jimmy Iovine, but not necessarily an engineer.
Yeah, well, he recorded
tried.
stuff with John Lennon.
He did.
He
He
did.
did.
He was
He
at the
did.
record plant.
I know. I know.
He's that guy. He knows more than he lets on, I think.
But it's also good too. Not
But
trying to put him down.
Jimmy was had a great knack
His rapport with the artist.
of he had great song sense
Right.
and what was missing. And I remember working on a record as an assistant, and then we're mixing in the room, and all of a sudden he says, "You know what? This isn't working. Go get the mics. Let's recut the song."
Cool.
Okay.
Fuck
This
it.
Bang. The light goes on. Okay, this is how you make records.
Yeah. You're not
This is
afraid
how
to fix
you
shit.
make records.
Yeah.
You could have spent 2 weeks on that song. It didn't matter. What matters
You
is
would be
we get
polishing.
this song right. Get the mics, Mark. Go get the mics. Boom. They get the mics, bring the drums in, and they record everything in a day because they know all the parts.
Yeah.
It's just a different key.
Yeah.
Different tempo, different energy, and there you go. All of a sudden, it's like
which is
now,
also
wow.
songwriting. He's
Yeah.
he's a songwriter at that point. He's
Right.
rewriting the song, reorchestrating, rearranging,
when the mix isn't coming together
and you're not
and the
feeling
mix
it.
isn't killing them,
Yeah.
then it's like, and it might have been the second guy who mixed it.
Yeah.
I've done that with him before. One guy mixed it, and another guy comes and mixes it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was always like, interesting.
That wasn't
you know,
it
was
wasn't
like,
as common then. Like now we have records where every track is mixed by a different guy.
Yeah.
That wasn't that common when we both started. That wasn't I mean occasionally, maybe half and half. But usually you mix the record.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But on a couple occasions, he was like, he's looking for ultimate.
The right guy for the right track.
He was. And sometimes the right guy was the guy who put it up and just mixed it live because it was recorded so well.
Bill Bottrell, just saying.
You know?
Or
Mix it.
whomever.
Here it is.
Or Shelley.
Done. It's like, here's your mix. This is like, don't overthink stuff.
Dude, you were around
You know?
all those people that were so. I mean, we all have been around different innovative people, but during that time in the beginning of A&M, man, Shelley, Jimmy, I think Ted Templeman was hanging
Mike
around.
Shipley came
Mike
in.
Shipley.
Well, always came in.
And then
And-
later, kids like Chad Muncy, who I know was a good friend of mine. I don't know if you ever remember Chad, but a lot of people that came in. Bill Kennedy was
Bill
he?
Kennedy.
Bill Kennedy.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
there was so
good.
many guys.
Wasn't he here recently? I think he was here recently. Will Kennedy.
Will
different guy.
Kennedy. Okay, yeah, I met Will. A
Yeah,
different story, but
Yeah.
no, that was
A
one of the things.
lot of people got launched from A&M
Oh yeah,
and became the star mixers.
because they gave you opportunities. There was an opportunity. A lot of gigs I got, a lot of records I got was because, Shelley was doing something. Hey, take over these overdubs.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're cutting another song. Okay, well you're recording
Tracking
the
it,
song.
yeah.
You're it. I'm not going to set it up. You do it. And then that
So-
was the opportunity.
so
scene,
much
you
of
know?
so much of recording engineering and so much of our world really is people helping other people. And I don't know if people really, I'm sure that's true in other walks of life. Maybe if you're a set decorator, maybe they do that too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in our world,
Yeah.
it's the people that help you along that you learn from, like you said, you assimilate different things that they do that you like.
Right.
That becomes your style. That becomes Mark's style.
Right.
Because he saw something Shelley did and thought that was fucking cool.
Yeah,
Or Bill Bottrell
totally,
did something.
100%.
Bill is a mad scientist.
Oh, yeah.
He did some crazy shit.
Oh, yeah.
In this very room, during the cello years, I'll never forget this. We were opening the room, not this SSL, another SSL, 2002. We were having a huge party. Everybody's arriving for the party. Bill is mixing, I think it was Elton John. He wants all the lights off, so he turns off all the lights. He gets a helmet, and we tape a flashlight to the front of this helmet, this hard hat,
I love
so
it.
that he can be in the dark,
Yeah.
in his zone,
Yeah.
in the room. And he finished the track, and we opened the room, and the party
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
You see, I think also what you
It's a picture of Bill on my desk.
He's so cool.
He's very cool.
And he was really instrumental in watching what I was learning from him. Was him flying stuff around on the multi-track,
Yeah.
putting vocals where they weren't.
Yes.
I'm like, well, yeah, that works.
That sounds
That's
cool.
even better. No one's going to say that's not working, And of course it worked. And
Yeah.
but you want to be around when you're in the control room. You want to be around people who are creative and around who same vibe as you.
Yeah.
If you have a guy who's like an assistant who's doesn't have the right
He's
attitude.
disinterested, or he's not
Okay,
paying
listen.
attention.
I smell it day one.
Yeah.
I'm going to smell it the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to give you a warning on day 3.
Yeah.
And if it's still not working,
You got to get a new
and
guy.
then you're going to get someone who wants to be there.
Yeah.
They may not
That's
like
kind
their-
of fundamental. It doesn't matter. And stylistically, you're going to be working on a lot of different kinds of music.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was on a panel one time, and the guy says, he owned a small studio in some off-market, some small town, don't remember. And he said, well, I have to ask this panel a question. He goes, what do you do? I'm a studio owner. What do you do if you don't like the music? I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, are you actually asking me that question? And he goes, yeah. And I go, do they have money? I said, because there's the business side of running the recording studio and keeping the studio booked. You don't have to who made you the arbiter of taste? You don't have to like, it's not your style of music.
No.
Tough shit. They're honest. They pay their bills. So that's a different story too. So when you're an assistant, you can't just, you're going to work on shit you don't like.
Right.
Tough shit.
It's the spirit. It's
Absolutely.
the attitude.
Absolutely.
It's like,
Be present.
If you got, if you're not, someone can tell if
you're not engaged.
You're always in a mood.
Yeah.
And you got to be in a mood, whether you like it or not, because you represent the studio.
Yep.
And hey, you might learn one thing, or
when you get too
it's a
far up,
collaboration
like
thing
you said,
because
you're still learning.
if you're positive and there's a negative thing going on in there, then it's like, dude, every time I look over there and I see this negative thing, sooner or later that negative thing's not going to be there.
Yeah, you're going to positive it right out of there.
I only can find the positive person in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think
even with an artist, you have
absolutely
to
because they're sensitive energy, dude.
You have to get on. You have to learn trust.
Absolutely, it's a big trust thing in the first place. Again,
right.
They've handed you the baby.
Right, exactly.
The trust it's fundamental. I mean,
right.
It's so important.
It is.
And you have to be able to trust the assistant.
100%. Because
trust the runner.
You want it to be, first of all, the
It's gotta
way
be fun.
everything is set up. It should be smooth
And fun.
and fun.
Yeah.
And because music is fun,
Yeah.
and you want...
We're not making bombs here.
We're not. We want to make the people out there love music because that's why we do this. We want to make other people feel good about music. So when they turn it on, when they're a 5-year-old, they're hearing something that they like and makes them happy.
Yeah.
So that's continued.
Yeah.
It's
contagious.
So you're that's why I'm saying your passion doesn't go away. It's there and it continues to rise.
All the people that we know and love, especially when we're talking about people like Joe Ciccarelli, Joe's out there finding. He has a room upstairs here now.
I know.
He's out there. I mean, going and seeing new bands, work with any band, but that takes a lot of energy to get it up and go out to the clubs.
You got to do it.
But you got to do it.
I know.
It was fun seeing you at the Troop.
I know. I had to go.
It was great.
I had to go.
I know.
See, I knew that guitar player did the EP with him.
Dude, he's
badass. Yeah.
Dude, he's happening.
See, he came to my room for an edit because he tracked at my studio, and I was like, this guy's really good. I didn't really know much about him. And I kept in touch with him, and he called me one day for an edit. And I was like, I did the edit at my studio, and I'm like, so what's going on with the rest of it? Oh.
Nice.
Oh, you don't let him out of the room till you get it.
Yeah. That's
when an opportunity comes your way.
That's the marketing.
He's like, give it to me. Let me try this, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, you got to take a shot.
Yeah.
And it was right on the money. And
well, his sound that night was fucking happening.
Yeah.
Whoever was running the PA for him, the shit was happening. I thought it was great.
It was the same band pretty much too.
Never know.
But
whatever.
Anyway, he's a cool cat, and there's a lot of great musicians, and today there's more musicians who are older.
Yeah.
Who are making really good records. Yeah. So it's not only, the 18-year-olds.
Not a young man's game,
yeah. It's not like that. Even though the record labels only want to sign young people.
Yeah.
But
that's always been the case.
Yeah.
That was the case when we were young.
Yeah.
You had the teeny bopper or the teen idol, David Cassidy or Bobby Sherman. You're too young for that, but it was the teen idol.
Oh, I remember Bobby Sherman.
Yeah, it was the teen idol.
We're close.
He ended up becoming a paramedic or something. But yeah, now I think, well, and hopefully always, you got someone like a Dom Was or someone like a Shelley who runs across someone, or they work with, Lyle Lovett, or they work with Bonnie Raitt, or they work with someone, an established blues player. I loved, one of the people that changed my life was John Porter, the British producer. He's how I ended up in this building.
Okay.
And he used to play for Roxy Music, but his his thing was blues. So like I met Otis Rush and Taj Mahal and Buddy Guy and Bonnie Raitt, of course, but all these old black blues players.
Right.
Who are fucking wicked good.
Yeah, I know. I mixed a couple of those Buddy Guy tunes he did.
Dude.
And
John would go in and fix guitar parts too.
He was a sweet cat.
Yeah. Buddy is super sweet.
Yeah.
Super
sweet cat and
and super and an inspiration to Hendrix.
Oh yeah.
Hendrix really dug Buddy's playing.
Oh yeah.
And when you listen, if you never heard Buddy Guy, anybody that is listening to this podcast, Go listen to Buddy Guy, and you'll hear the Hendrixy vibe. You'll hear the
he's
way.
been around. And
the way he plays.
It's just in the soul.
Yeah.
You know, it's in the soul.
I love
you know, and that's where, you know, music has to be in your soul to record it.
Yeah.
To have it be played, you know, there's that thing that comes out of the speakers.
It's magic.
It's magic. It's like a gift from the angels.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. So, so you're at A&M, and you're doing all this stuff, and you got these cool opportunities. Now, you know, real life is happening. You know, you get married, you have kids. You know, it's hard. Now you're launching and becoming a freelance guy.
Right.
Nerve-wracking because you've got
well, you know, it's
make
like
a living.
You know, it's the assistant is not forever. There's going to be a point where
I push lots of people out of the nest. Trust me, I know.
Where you turn the dials, and when you turn their dials, that's when it's like, okay.
Yeah, when you're making the decision.
When you're assistant and making moves on someone else's record, it's time for you to go make your own records.
Yeah.
And that's what you do.
Yeah.
And
you got to take a leap of faith.
And you know, I did. I left, and Joe recommended me for something.
God bless it. Apparently, it's all come back to Joe Chigarelli.
First record.
What was it?
This family band out in Ohio, and you know, you go.
You never say no. That's the other thing.
You never say no because it's like, it's just you. That's part of. It's part of what you do. They make music that people love. You want to be part of that engine.
Yeah.
You know, and next thing I know, I'm like in this place in Ohio, this sweet family. They all amazing harmonies and singing. Wow. And I think they're probably still using some of the songs I mix now, still, you know, at some of their shows. Who knows?
There we go.
But yeah, that was it. And then I kind of got married right after that. And then, and that was interesting
you have
because.
2 kids? How many kids do you have?
2.
Yeah.
And they're in their 30s.
Oh, wow.
So, and I've married 36 years. Thank you, lovely wife.
Yeah. I've been with Brian for 35.
That's the other thing. You
got to have a partner who gets it.
100%.
Oh, my God.
100%. Now here's a little wisdom.
Yeah, you're not going to be home.
The first thing is, the first question is, are you good alone?
Yeah.
Are you good alone?
Yeah.
Because there's no phone. I'm not on the phone. There's no phone.
You got a strong marriage. I got a strong marriage.
Yeah.
I'm not a recording engineer, but as a manager, especially in the early part of my career, dude, I work all the time. I work till 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm also always working when I'm not at the studio. So even we go on vacation, you know, I'd be buying a console or something. The fax would be coming through from JG Capital. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd be signing off on something.
It's that type of industry.
It's constant.
It is. I mean, I know sometimes we're like hitting the studio manager up, you know, very late at night.
Yeah.
In the wee hours in the morning if the room's open for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we're going over.
Yeah.
Is the room open?
Yeah, well, you know, time is the most perishable of all commodities. Yeah. Once a day is gone, it's gone forever. So as a studio manager, your job is to fill the hotel.
Yeah.
And if the hotel's not full,
right,
studio doesn't live. Studio
That's right.
doesn't survive.
And you know, once
different
you're on
kind
a
of
roll,
pressure, but yeah,
it's a different hump. And once you're on a roll recording, and it's like someone wants to do it again tomorrow or try something else tomorrow or. Then
we're all about you taking your time, by the way. On our side of things, you're talking about time and being efficient. I want efficient setups and teardowns because I'm trying to keep the clock good. But I am all about people. It's a waste of time, but I'm all about people writing in the studio, elongating their stay.
Yeah. Right.
I generally, I can't always do this, but try to put like a pad day.
Okay.
Sometimes on, you know,
right,
and I'm
course.
lucky to get longer sessions.
Yeah,
it's not that common these days to get a month-long session or 2-month-long session, but like pad it by a day or two because you're like, if you finish early, that's fine. But
right.
Yeah, here's hoping you.
Right, and because people
you're going to get inspired.
Tour or something changes, or you know someone can't sing.
Yeah.
They want to get that other guy. He's available tomorrow, not today. There's a million scenarios.
There's a lot of coordination.
Yeah, but getting back to the family, you need the support from the family, that because you're gone and you're going to miss certain things.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's just part of life.
Well, our dads worked, though. You know, my dad worked.
You make up for it later some other way. But it's if you have the support, you're able to go to work not thinking about that. You have to think about nothing.
Don't have to worry about that.
You know,
My wife has got the kids.
it's all good.
Or whatever it is.
It's all good.
Yeah, everything's all good.
When I work with Dwight, it's like I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not tonight. I'm not
Yeah.
going home tonight.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow.
My dad.
'Cause it's late.
My dad was an electronics engineer, and I've said this a lot of times in the podcast because I love my dad. He died when I was really young, like 16. But he built. He was an electronics engineer, electrical engineer. He was in the Army. He survived Normandy. Blah blah. He built the safety systems for nuclear missiles on nuclear submarines.
Wow.
That's what he built.
Wow.
He created that on Trident and Polaris missiles, right? And I'd be like, Dad, what are you doing? And so we always lived in a port town. That's why we lived in Charleston and Virginia Beach and stuff like that.
Dig.
And I'd say, Dad, like, what do you do, Dad? And he'd be like, I'm trying to keep the Navy from killing us, from blowing us up. You know, he was an Army guy. He's like, I'm just trying to keep the Navy from killing us. You know what I mean? But he would build my brother's amps, and they all were musicians, and they were, and all two of my older brothers are recording engineers, which is how I ended up in this world.
Oh, I gotcha.
They worked at the record plant.
Oh, okay.
In the early 70s. They came out to LA,
wow.
and then I went to work for my brother Steve, who had a room, who's still an engineer. He lives in Seattle. Steve, shout out to brother Steve, brother Rick, they're amazing. Brother David, too, best. David's a photographer. He's amazing. He lives here. But they all worked at the record plant, all worked for Rose. I met Rose when I was 16. Rose was my mentor.
Okay.
Like you had a Shelley, I had Rose and Paula.
Yeah.
You know, they were my idols, or
Great
the
people.
people that were going to
Great
show
people.
me how to do my thing.
I mean,
and now I'm still doing it.
Yeah. I mean,
Now I'm old guard somehow.
I'm never going to stop.
Yeah. I probably will stop booking time, but
Yeah.
I'll do something.
This is just, it's for, and even now where you're competing against younger dudes,
Yeah.
you want it as much because you're learning, getting better at the computer. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that we'd be recording on computer.
Yeah,
I
me
would have,
either.
Tape.
Where's the tape?
What-
We use a lot of tape
nothing-
still. We
Yeah,
just did a
that's
whole
great.
project, 2-inch to 1/4 inch. And the only Pro Tools was literally like safety backups.
Wow.
But it wasn't dumped to Pro Tools and worked on in Pro Tools. As far as I know, it was just a backup.
It wasn't broken.
Yeah.
It was never broken.
Tape has never been broken.
I remember when all
And
this.
tape is great because it limits. It limits. You
Yeah.
got 24 tracks.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no.
You got to get your performance together.
Well, and one of the things I remember about when I think about the difference between tape and Pro Tools is as an engineer, as an assistant engineer, you punched in and you looked at the artist. So when he stopped, you stopped.
Yeah.
Today, the young guys punch in and they stare at the screen.
Yeah.
Don't stare at the screen. Look
at
at
the
the
person.
artist.
Yeah, look at the person. I agree.
Trust your little Pro Tools shit.
Yeah.
You punch in, it's not coming out.
Yeah.
So
Probably not gonna erase it unless
it's one of these
you're an
things
idiot.
where it's like, hey, I'm putting my hand out. I'm not waving you.
Well, it's kind of like
Now
the
you're like, I'm on a
phone.
lake.
Everybody is so into the
The waveform.
yes.
The
Listen.
waveform. It's all about listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about listening.
Well, we're not digital beings.
No, I
we're
know.
analog. We hear. We don't hear
Yeah.
we don't process in zeros and ones in this microcomputer.
I don't.
That's not.
I
That's
don't.
not how that works.
Yeah.
It goes through. I mean, look at the human ear. How fucking crazy is that? There's like a thing that looks like a shell, and then there's liquid, and then this thing hits this other thing, and there's little hairs that vibrate. I mean, the fucking human
That's
ear is
crazy.
nuts,
That's
right?
good.
That's crazy, right? I know I'm out of my mind.
That's a great little analysis.
Well, I'm out of my mind though. But you look at it, and
Well,
you're like,
your dad's,
oh yeah. But look at the
nuclear guy.
mechanism of the human ear, and you're like, okay, that's just fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, it's all pretty amazing.
It
how
all comes in here.
works. Just the heart. I mean, everything.
Oh yeah, the
And
human
I-
body's fucking nuts.
See, that's the thing. It's like the analog is a combination of the ears, hands, eyes, heart.
Low
you know what I
ends
mean?
hitting your chest.
Yeah, right.
Or in the case of a man, hitting you.
Yeah.
Hitting you where you hits you.
And it's like that. That's why I'm telling that guy, hey, well, how would you fix the bass drum? Of course. Boom.
Now I can feel it.
And putting your feet on the ground a lot of times
Right.
to hear.
That's a
get
good thing to
that,
do.
Listening from the vibrations.
Yeah,
These are all vibrations. And,
Yeah.
and clashing frequencies.
It's
you
the
know what I mean?
vibrations, man.
All
Good
the
vibrations.
Totally.
I wonder if that's what he came up with, good vibrations. Probably. Fuck, I never thought about that.
Well, I don't,
He's a genius.
Yes. I know. Just to work in any of the rooms, like at Capitol,
Yeah.
I remember the first time working at Capitol, it was just like, it's
The
overwhelming.
mojo is there. We're here too. There's
Here to
mojo
any
in the
of
wall.
all these rooms. I don't work at so
Sunset.
many studios in LA that all have amazing history.
Yeah.
That I've been around the block. So you
happy we're
get
still
to
here.
work at all these amazing places, and it's sort of like another part of the dream that gets better.
Well, it's another enhancement. It's an enhancement just like the instrument. It's an enhancement. The room is an instrument.
Yeah.
It makes your job easier. Because you know the rooms sound good.
Yeah, you just have to figure it out and not suck.
Yeah, you have to not fuck it up.
You
but
can't fuck it up. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
It's like, but it's if it's one of those things where if it all comes to the source. I don't care whoever has the drums have to sound good there before they can sound good in here.
Yeah.
It's just the first rule.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to tune drums. So you have to, and that's another thing as an assistant.
What's our thought on I don't have any thoughts on AI, but I'm not that worried about I mean AI will make new songs out of old songs, but I'm not necessarily worried about it replacing musicians.
Probably not. Well, it's out there, and people do it as demos. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I
mean, I work for a company that makes sound libraries.
But yeah,
But it never, and everybody thought that would be the end of the studio.
It's the unknown. I mean,
Gotta record it.
It's the unknown, and what we don't want is musicians to lose any more money than
Agreed.
they're already losing.
Yeah.
Whatever that takes, because it is a business. If you're a musician, you got to play live. You got to
Yep.
sell stuff.
Yep.
And like the future engineer has to be an artist, musician.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to be a producer and just a producer engineer.
Yeah.
You have to be the player, the singer,
Yeah.
the writer.
Well, you were talking earlier about live
I see
sound.
that.
We were talking earlier about live sound and encouraging how you don't have to. You can be in several lanes. You can do live sound.
Yeah, and like I said, you have to. I recommend a lot of guys, young guys, go learn live sound. Figure out what's happening in the monitor side. Figure out the signal path. Where EQ, feedback. What frequency is that? So
Yeah, you can't fuck around when it's
understand-
live.
You have to get a knowledge of every frequency in your brain. And every microphone has a sound. So you're making a catalog all the time of these things. And then when you eventually get to the house, now you're mixing and you're learning how to mix.
Yeah.
And that's the art. I mean, years ago, we got our basic thing was, here's the tape, you put it up. You get headphone mixes quick.
Right, yeah.
You get it quick.
Get the room
You
mix.
got to get it going quick. Get the headphones going quick. There's no time to spend like 40 minutes on a
EQ.
headphone mix or something.
I never minded when people took a day to get drum sounds, but that was a luxury.
That's a beautiful luxury.
yeah.
That's a beautiful luxury.
That's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, it's like, okay, it doesn't take that long.
I agree.
If the guy has, brings other snares or maybe other kick drums
Yeah.
or stuff, then it's like a
Yeah.
little swapping,
Yeah.
and you can change it. Or what a lot of guys
Mic
do today,
placement.
mics, choices, and then having a second kit set up. So they have two sets set up.
It's interesting that you said that. When we did that, they did that Foo Fighters record here was Concrete and Gold was the record. And they had I think 5 drum kits set up they had multiple drum kits set up. Obviously Dave's a drummer. Taylor was alive. He's a great drummer. And they would go from kit to kit depending upon what they were going for in the individual track or in the individual section
Oh, cool. Even
of
cooler.
the song.
Even cooler.
Super
I
cool.
mean,
And a big room like that, easy
way
to do.
cool. You're way cool,
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of times in mixing, you'll just treat a section of the song differently. But if you can record the section with the different drums, I mean, you're
winning.
You're totally winning. You know what I mean? And no one's going to complain about that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we've both seen a lot of technological changes, but at the end of the day, it's really. I mean, there's new tools. We talked about that, but at the end of the day, the main thing is a computer replacing a tape machine for capture. But there was other stuff. I was talking to someone else about this. There was the DA88. There was the ADAT. There was the radar. There was the Gen X.
Right.
There was the Fairlight.
Yeah.
There was many different
Right.
methods of capture.
Right.
But tools are tools. You know.
Yeah, it's the most important thing is what
Isn't
happens in the control room. What's going
Or
on.
the live room.
And the live room.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, what's going on. Serving the artist.
Yes, without question.
Serving the artist.
Without question.
Making the guy happy. Reverb, no reverb, this, that.
Yeah.
You delay, you want to delay. You know, it's all true. We have all these tools. It's just what makes them give us a great performance because, you know,
The trust.
you want the quickest performance. You don't want to belabor performances if you
Yeah,
don't
like
have
when
to.
you do 50 takes,
You know,
you
you're
suck
done.
the life
You're
right
done.
out of the
You're
guy.
done. And they're pros. The pros
We have
that come
great
in today,
musicians here
bang.
in LA.
They're bang.
Oh my God.
They're
The singers, everybody. I mean, and there's these new generations, like you said, like, you know, you had the Wrecking Crew, you know, before my time, but you had the ongoing changing of the various people that came. You know, Leon Russell was Doris Day's piano player.
Right.
You know what I mean? He wore a
Right.
suit, you know. But then so you had the Wrecking Crew, and then now, like, I am occasionally asked to put a band together. Like,
Okay.
someone will call me
Oh,
up
wow.
and they'll say, like, and it's not that often, but they'll say, oh, do you know a good drummer? And I now have current guys, by the way, you're out there, Andrew Senowick on guitar, Sean Hurley on bass, Jake Reed on drums, of course, Pino Palladino if you're available, Vinny Caliuta on drums, Kenny Aronoff. I mean, there's a few amazing guys.
They're beyond.
They're beyond.
They're pros.
Vinny Caliuta is
Yeah.
next level.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, if you look at the history of these cats.
Oh, my God.
That they were badass.
Yeah, when they were
35 years
Yeah,
ago.
when they were
40
20, they were fucking
they were
monsters.
Just serious.
Yeah, yeah. But there are new generations coming out all the time. Now these, you know, they're young to us, but they might be in their late 30s,
you know,
early
if
40s.
A lot of
You know?
it's so what's so cool about guitar stuff and bass stuff is there's all these boutique amps
Yep.
and pedals.
The pedal madness. Okay.
you
I need
know-
to talk about pedal madness.
Yeah.
Okay. My husband is a guitar player.
Uh-huh.
He never plays out live, which is a bummer because he's great. But he gets to record. I wonder where. Anyway, but he's got pedal madness now. He has like 5 pedal boards. And he'll be like, babe, my Klon. Did you hear my Klon? And I'm like, oh, babe.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no fucking
yeah,
clue.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, what the fuck, you know? And I mean, I've been around enough guitar players. I mean, I know what I
right.
like or whatever. But the pedal madness, so we've got all these Earthquaker pedals here. And they're so awesome. Earthquaker pedals, shout out to Earthquaker. And we have like 100 pedals.
Wow.
And I went into this one studio, the Bridge, and I saw a pedal bay patch board.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
love that.
And it was in the control room.
Yeah.
And you had all the pedals and then the pedal bay patch board. Or where have we come along, voice in the background with our pedal bay, our pedal board?
Still ongoing.
It's ongoing, yeah. But we are creating, you know, putting all the pedals on a board, making it mobile to go from room to
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
So that we can then have it its own thing.
I
Pedals is effects.
It's a fact.
It's
I
cool.
remember years ago.
Super cool.
We had we used to use a pedal, the Rockman,
yeah.
as a pedal, but we had it in a little box, so no one knew what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
It's a reverb.
It was
It's
so
yeah.
cool.
It's
right?
an EQ.
You know, in and out.
Yeah.
And then you know, we'd have it on the session with Shelley, and someone would go, "Oh, what's that?" I go, "I can't tell you. Can't
It's a
tell
secret.
you.
Yeah, it's a secret.
That's a fucking secret."
Yeah.
And
so-
you know, you got to keep the mystery going.
Yeah.
You got to just have fun
You gotta
stuff
have
going.
fun. Yeah, you gotta have fun
you
doing
know?
it. I mean, there's a lot of, we're sitting in a room and we're looking at some, you know, newer stuff or, I don't know, what's in this room. There's a lot of old stuff in this room right now.
But
There's
this is all the classic stuff.
Yeah, there's old.
You know, and it's
there's an
the-
1176, bro.
Yeah, there it is. You know.
When it said Yuri on it, because Bill Putnam, who built the rooms of the studio that I'm sitting in right now, he was a designer as well, and he 1176s, LA2As, LA3As, 1178s. They were made in this building, silkscreen, manufactured, etc. So we always laugh and say that it went around the world and came back. But his sons are Universal Audio, Bill Putnam Jr.
Right.
And they took the schematics of all their, and then many things in their own right, but took the schematics of their dad's analog stuff and made digital plugins.
Right. They're some of my favorite plugins.
Oh, they're
too.
amazing. Yeah.
And I basically, if you see the plugins I use, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's because I know what it is. I'm not looking for. You're looking for stuff that you know and trust.
Well, and it's familiar.
Yeah. Okay. I know if
to
I
the
boost
ear.
this is where
The API,
the
whatever.
bottom is going to come in, and
Yeah.
this is I can take the herd out
There's
with
a
this.
lot of new amazing stuff. I mean, the Manly
Yeah.
stuff's amazing, Berkowski stuff's amazing. But sitting in that room in probably, the most expensive, I call it the most expensive, bedside table, there's a Fairchild.
Yeah. Right.
The 670 and the 660.
Yeah. It's my favorite thing.
They're making some cool things, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's like
I don't think it's the same. Do you think it's the same? I mean, there's some good stuff.
Yeah. I did buy Heritage Audio 660.
Yes, they're coming in on Monday,
You know,
actually, to do something.
and I really like it. They
super
did a
cool.
great job. It has like in and out transformer, 11 tubes.
Yeah.
It's quiet. I can hit it, and
It's got tubes. See?
it has 11 tubes.
This is the key. This
I'm
is what we're
on
talking
with
about. We're talking about smelling the burning up
You
the
have to
tube.
have it.
We're going full circle back
wanna
to
smell it.
Marcus 6.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I want to touch it, see how hot it is.
Yeah.
I want to touch it.
We like that like sort of slight electrical burning smell.
Yeah. Leave it on.
Yeah, we like that
Don't
smell.
turn it off.
Yeah, let it heat up.
Ever.
Well, you're still doing it. Still loving it.
Still at it. Still love it.
Yeah. And by the
Have
way,
my own place.
he has his own place.
Very
and by the way,
happy.
still for hire. Okay, that's another thing
Always.
I say about the musicians
Yeah.
too. These people, like someone will call me up and they're like, "Oh," and people don't know. So if you're listening to this, if you're an artist out there and you can't afford it, and you can afford it, and you want to hire a Pino Palladino or a Jurgen Carlson or Andrew Sinowick or Sean Hurley, they're for hire. Okay. They make their living making records. You don't have to be famous.
Yeah. No.
You
I mean, it's
know?
like it's all
Working
to
musicians,
bring
working engineers.
the level of the artist up,
Exactly.
so you can compete.
Yes.
And that's what you're competing against. What's just out on the radio.
Yeah.
As a young person, you're always competing.
Yeah.
So that's why you want top level
Players.
audio,
Top level
mix.
engineer.
So you're on that level.
Good studio if you can.
Always.
Your studio's great. This one's awesome too.
Yeah,
All
I'm
studios are
having a
good.
blast opening up all the doors to get in my place. This door, that door, this door, that door, the security.
I got to come out and
Yeah.
see it. I want to come see
Oh,
it.
please do.
Yeah.
I'm
Do you
sure.
have a tracking room at your place?
Yeah, my room is just small, but it's like 18 by 12.
Oh, that's pretty big.
So it's just right for
that booth
drums.
is 10 by 15.
Yeah,
We've
so
done
I'm
drums
bigger
in
than
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all direct, that tight sound.
What's the name of your place?
Mix LA Studio D.
There you go. Mix Light Studio.
Thanks to Chris Lodalgi.
God bless him.
I
God
mean,
bless
another
Chris.
cat's helped a lot over the years, and
Talented, always been just a mensch.
super supportive,
Yeah.
and
Super talented.
beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the best, and he's very inspiring.
I'm
When
gonna
I-
get him on here too. He's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
He would. He'd have fun.
He'd be great
Yeah,
because he still loves as much as we do,
I know.
and he works really hard.
He does.
He cares. See, it's all about care.
It is about caring.
The caring is what continues.
Well, they've entrusted you with their baby,
Hey, here you go.
but they've entrusted you with their art,
Yeah.
and you need to do right by it.
Yeah, it's just what we live to do. It's like you want to always continue to get better. That's the idea.
Any new bands or anything I should be? I like all kinds of music. You and I are probably similar that way. Like I'll listen to Muse, and then I'll listen to Thin Lizzy, then I'll listen to the Kinks, then I'll listen to the Stones, then I'll listen to Depeche Mode, or
right.
My Chemical Romance, or that Fun, which I like that band Fun, and then I'll listen to new stuff. I'm not a hater. I'm not a huge. I don't know a lot about rap. I've certainly worked in that world, as a manager, but I'll listen to Patsy Cline, and then I'll listen to Blink-182.
Yeah, I mean, I master a lot of rap stuff.
Oh yeah.
But for mixing and recording, I don't do a lot of stuff that has machines on it. It's
Yeah.
just how that is.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm more of organic,
Real
real
instruments.
stuff.
Yeah, real instruments.
But I can appreciate the groove that comes out of it.
Easy Drummer is a good thing if you're. They make some really cool shit.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Easy Drummer's very cool.
Yeah.
And I have to get you the East West Libraries if you don't have them.
Okay.
I renewed Chris's licenses recently, so I
cool.
got to make sure you got them.
Oh, great.
People always thought when I first came back here, and I was like, oh, I'm working for a company that's a sound sample library company. I was like counterintuitive, and I'm like, oh, is it going to hurt musicians? It's actually been the opposite.
Yeah.
It's shined a light on and he's done East West Sounds. Doug Rogers, my boss, the owner,
Mm-hmm.
he's shined a light on like unique things, like African instruments and all these different
Right.
crazy, cool
Yeah, I bet.
landscapes
Yeah.
for film and for television.
Right.
But it's rare that the whole thing is made up of replace. That's not the case. Usually, a composer uses it for like a mock-up or a demo,
Yeah, and then
and
to
then
have
hires
that,
an orchestra.
and then have those tools.
Yeah.
So your demos sound amazing.
Yeah, and
you got
and
great
you, and you
drum
get the gig.
sounds, and yeah,
Maybe you get the gig, and then you come here and you hire a real orchestra.
right.
know.
There's nothing like recording real strings. It's an incredible.
I've never had a composer
thing.
say to me that they didn't want to record live music.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is when things change on the fly, and during the session.
The collaboration.
Yeah, all of a sudden
between
this
the
other
players.
part comes up, and it's like, oh, there,
Happy accidents.
it's just you take
magical.
advantage of it.
Well, and one thing that I think, and I know you're in a building with Chris, so you do get some some people are coming through. I mean, if you work in your house, that's great and that's fine, whatever you need to do. But one of the things that I see happen here every day is there'll be a cellist from Studio One, and then there'll be like a hip hop artist,
Right.
and they'll meet in the lobby.
Right.
And the next thing you know, there's cello
That was
on the fucking rap song.
Right. That's how.
That's what A&M.
At A&M was like.
People playing on each
how-
other's records all the time.
How did you get that guy on that record? Well, he was in the lobby.
Yeah, he was in the hall.
And
He
it
was
was
in Studio
midnight, and
D.
he was supposed
Yeah.
to leave.
Yeah.
But we asked him if he'd do a guitar part,
Yeah.
and there it is.
Dave Grohl did that when they did that Foo Fighters record. I refer back to that because I think Justin Timberlake was here doing something, and he got Justin Timberlake to come in and do background vocals
Why not?
on a track. I think he gave him a joint. I mean, it was, whoops. Can I say that? I can say whatever I want.
Yeah,
But
it's your podcast.
It's the truth, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, well, I mean, just full circle, I think the message for, first of all, hire Mark. He's hireable. And secondly, keep learning, be present, love music.
Love it.
Fuck it.
Be inspired. You don't know who, and when
Pass it
someone's
along.
out
Pay it
there,
forward.
when someone's out there singing, it means so much to them. With the lyrics that they're coming from, is so important.
Yeah.
I was recording Jessie Money,
Yeah.
Daddy's daughter,
Yeah.
and her little EP that we've been working on. All these lyrics are from her experience
Yeah.
watching this process.
Yeah.
And so when
Growing
she's
up, watching an
singing,
artist, watching her dad.
also his, when he was through the hospital and stuff,
Yeah.
that it you can see it's like, you know what, that kid just gave me 100% of every cell in her body.
Yeah.
That right there,
Steven Still's son
boom,
like that too.
boom. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just tremendous. And
Yeah,
so
no, it's a thing.
when someone's singing, it's the most important part of all of this.
Yeah.
Because you got that on tape. And
That
it's like,
instrument that's
the
soul.
most powerful one.
I
the
won't
vocal,
disagree.
you
I
know.
would agree.
When I record Dwight, I'm just like, man, Melissa Etheridge,
Oh yeah, dude.
unbelievable.
Great.
Just not. It's all out.
One of my favorites is Carly Simon. She's a badass.
Yeah.
Dude, so good. But young singers now too. That girl in Paramore.
It's not
that girl
about-
that's singing for Linkin Park.
Yeah.
God, she's a badass.
Yeah.
She's great. That girl's
and it's
powerful.
not always about the comping. You
Oh
can
yeah,
comp-
let's
you
just
can
go the
comp-
original
you-
performance.
Let's just get that one take. You just slayed it. How about that? And it's like, you look at the producer and go, "Did you get that?"
And how-
and you look at it back and he goes, "Yeah."
How cool is it for the singer to come into the room and ask, and because it's it's they're
Yeah,
sensitive,
it's
they're
their precious.
vulnerable, they're
Ye-
vulnerable, right?
yeah.
And they're like, "Well, how was it?" And you're like, "Fucking amazing."
Yeah, right. And they know. They know because
Yeah.
they delivered it. So you can't get the vocal wrong.
Yeah.
You got to get that. That's the one thing that, and that's an art to getting the vocal
Well,
recording.
We're gonna wrap up and just say, you
Okay.
know what? You gotta love it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Be
And
there,
thank
present.
you for coming.
Thanks for having me,
Oh,
babe.
dude, you're the best.
You're the best.
dude. And I'm so grateful to get to do this. Again, one of the reasons I did it was
Yeah,
just to have
it's a,
something for posterity. you know?
Yeah, terrific.
I don't have I didn't take pictures.
No one
It
did.
wasn't Paula did.
I didn't.
Paula's
We
got
didn't
an
even have a
autograph
cam-
book. You weren't
Oh.
allowed to take pictures,
Yeah.
okay? We didn't have a phone camera.
Right. There
Yeah,
was
and it
I
would've
wish
been-
I had pictures.
Oh my God. But it would have been kind of uncool to be
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
stop, let me do
You're
this.
just not,
Yeah.
But those are the great memories.
It's in here.
Peace.
I got it forever. Thank you so much. That was
Hey,
fun.
very welcome.
Did you have fun? I know it's fun,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And it's really